Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, there was a princess like no other. Her name was Snow White, and she was blessed with the beauty of winter itself. Her skin as white as freshly fallen snow, her lips the red of blossoming roses, and her hair as dark as a moonless night. Her mother, the queen, loved her dearly, but sadly passed away, leaving Snow White all alone with her father, the king. Time passed, and the king remarried. The new queen was stunning, but her heart cold as ice. She had one obsession: beauty. Every day she would stand before her magic mirror and ask, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" And every time the mirror replied, "You, my queen, are the fairest of them all." But one day something changed. Snow White had blossomed into a breathtaking young woman. And when the queen asked her mirror that fateful question, the mirror said, "Snow White is the fairest of them all." The queen's heart burned with envy. Jealousy twisted inside her, and she couldn't stand the thought of anyone, especially Snow White, surpassing her. In a fit of rage, she hatched a wicked plan. She summoned a huntsman and ordered him to take Snow White deep into the dark forest and kill her. But the huntsman could not do it. When he saw Snow White's innocent eyes, his heart softened. Instead, he let her go, telling her to run, run, and never look back. Snow White fled the shadows of the forest, closing in around her heart pounding with fear. She ran until she found herself in front of a tiny, cozy cottage deep in the woods. She knocked, but no one answered. Exhausted, she crept inside. The place was adorable. Tiny chairs, a tiny table, and 7 tiny little beds. Without thinking, she lay down on the beds and fell fast asleep. But this was no ordinary cottage. It belonged to 7 dwarfs, hard-working miners who dug for gold in the mountains. When they returned home, they found Snow White asleep in their beds. Surprised but kind-hearted, the dwarfs, grumpy, sleepy, happy, bashful, sneezy, dopey, and dark, listened to her story. They immediately took her in, saying, "Stay with us, Snow White. We will protect you." For a while, Snow White lived happily with the dwarfs, keeping their home tidy, cooking meals, and laughing with them. But the evil queen wasn't done yet. She stood before her mirror again, asking, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" And once more the mirror answered, "Snow White, who lives with the 7 dwarfs, is the fairest of them all." The queen's rage knew no bounds. She disguised herself as an old, haggard peddler woman and made her way to the dwarf's cottage with a poisoned apple. Her disguise was perfect, and Snow White, sweet and trusting, accepted the apple. The moment she took a bite, she collapsed, her eyes closing as if she had fallen into a deep sleep. When the dwarfs returned home, they found Snow White lying on the ground, still as stone. Nothing they did could wake her. Heartbroken, they placed her in a beautiful glass coffin, preserving her beauty and mourning her loss every single day. But this isn't the end of Snow White's story. One day, a handsome prince came riding through the forest. He had heard tales of a beautiful princess asleep in a glass coffin, guarded by 7 dwarfs. When he saw her, he was struck by her beauty. He leaned in, and as he lifted her from the coffin, fate intervened. The jolt from the movement dislodged a piece of poisoned apple from Snow White's throat, and she woke up. Her eyes fluttered open, and there, standing before her, was the prince. They fell in love at first sight, and soon after, they were married in a grand celebration. As for the rebel queen, she was so consumed by her own jealousy and anger that she met a terrible fate of her own making. And Snow White and her prince, they lived happily ever after in a kingdom where kindness and love triumphed over evil. And there you have it, the story of Snow White, where love, bravery, and kindness conquer all. If you enjoyed this magical journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Story World for more enchanting tales. Thanks for watching, and remember, true beauty lies in the heart.